जी, क्या हाल है आपके?
अल्लाह का शुक्र है सर। आप सुनाएं।
जी, मैं भी ठीक हूँ। ओके, स्टूडेंट्स थर्ड चैप्टर से एक दो बातें और करते हैं जो हम एट मोस्ट और एट बेस्ट हम कर सकते हैं, और उसके बाद अपने फर्स्ट और सेकंड चैप्टर को एक दफ़ा क्विकली रिवाइज करते हैं। Ansmach. In English, we usually read this as Mach, just like the Mach number. If you remember the Mach number for the speed of the source of sound waves to the speed of the sound waves, this is Mach number. So in German, properly, this is Mach. Ernst Mach was Austrian, where I did my PhD from, and there is an scholarship with his name that is known as Ernst Mach Follow-up Grant. It's a research grant that once I have won for the visit and for research-based experiments. Anyways, the idea of Ernst Mach is just like the point where we started the discussion of relativity from. That is, we must have a material background to define the states of the particles, either rest or motion. Earlier, this material background before the Einstein special relativity, it was considered in the form of wind-like or fluid-like medium named as ether. But later on, in special theory, we didn't like this. But Einstein presented it in another way. Einstein liked this idea of material background as he assumed the universe to be matter filled. That means what Einstein considers the universe to be a space that is matter filled, as we discussed in last article, that he considered the uniform distribution of matter in the universe. But he said that the presence of matter is essential to have the meaningful space-time geometry. But there was another person who published an article presenting the space-time geometry where he derived the line element without matter, without considering the matter. So in the line element of W de Sitter, the universe was considered empty. So this was another strange solution of the field equations. The solution is derived like this, although there is spherical symmetry that you can see here with the r theta phi. But in the de Sitter solution, there was no matter. So it was another strange possibility when Einstein is considering the universe to be matter filled, but he didn't consider any motion. As we mentioned last time, that Einstein universe was static, but the universe presented by de Sitter has motion, but he did not include the matter. So these are particles that have no mass, and they are not going to influence the geometry. So he presented the solution like this. So one can say that the de Sitter universe has motion without matter, whereas Einstein universe presents matter without motion. But later on, of course, there were developments, and especially by the Hubble's laws, we saw that this was the other way. There is for sure motion, and the experimental evidences also come to a point that there is also matter. For example, if we consider the galaxies, a galaxy is an arbitrary matter. Okay, it could be a star, it could be anything, but it is considered as an observer. So whatever it is, it's an observer. It's a human being, for example. So we know that in space-time there are world lines. So an observer A has a world line like this. It's an arbitrary world line, and other observer B, C, D, for example, D, he has another world line. But these world lines are intersecting at some points. You can see that at this position, two world lines intersect. At this position or at this position, there are three at least world lines that are intersecting. That means if we consider the random motion of the matter in this universe, then it would become very, very complex to write down the field equations and to present a logical solution. So this idea was not liked by most of the people, but there is one solution with very organized form of word lines of the matter. For example, galaxies. This proposal was given by the mathematician Hermann Weyl. Hermann Weyl suggests that the three coordinates of space, let's say x mu, and what is mu? Mu is 1, 2, and 3. These are the three coordinates of space, as always, just like we did it in Minkowski space-time. And the fourth coordinate of time. This is time. These four coordinates of space-time can be designed in a very organized manner to draw the world lines of the matter. For example, the three coordinates of space are the world lines that are receding from each other. That is like moving away from each other. And this was for sure experimentally verified by the Hubble's observations, particularly from the redshift. And the fourth coordinate, time, is making up the surfaces normal to these world lines. So this is about the time. At time t0, at time t1, and so on. And these are known as the hypersurfaces. So hypersurfaces are the surfaces of time coordinate normal to the world lines of space. And these world lines are known as three bundles of space. यानी स्पेस और टाइम इस तरह से ऑर्गेनाइज्ड हैं, एक तो इसमें वो रैंडमनेस नहीं है, एक इसमें वर्ल्ड लाइंस का इंटरसेक्शन या क्रॉसिंग नहीं है, जंक्शंस नहीं है इसके अंदर, और दूसरा ये एक्सपेंशन को प्रेजेंट करता है, द यूनिवर्स इज एक्सपेंडिंग एज ए होल, और इस तरह से टाइम कोऑर्डिनेट्स जो हैं दैट आर ऑलवेज नॉर्मल टू द space coordinates. So one can say it's a conical, it's in the shape of a cone, it's a conical representation of the matter moving in the universe. In mathematics, x mu, as I said in the Weyl postulate, it's an orderly structure, an organized structure, an ordered structure. The galaxies are working as the observers. ये सिर्फ galaxies ही नहीं है, ये observer के तौर पे काम कर रहे हैं. We have three space coordinates, one time coordinate. Okay, so in this way, it is organized. And additionally, we consider from continuity, actually from discreteness to continuity. तो आप देखें कि basically galaxies are discrete mass. This is discreteness. But if you look at the Einstein's idea, this is a space that is matter filled. That means there is no discreteness, there is continuity. तो मैटर की कॉन्टिन्यूटी है, इसको आप बोलते हैं स्मूथ फ्लूइड approximation. It's like a fluid. The matter is filling the space like a fluid. आप देखते हो फ्लूइड को आप you pour some water in the jug, so it's continuous. You look at the jelly filled in a bowl, so it's continuous. So matter is filling the space in a continuous manner. So one can approximate this discreteness into the continuity. And when he developed the mathematics, this is very similar mathematics for geodesics. We have these equations, and we have coordinates, we have approximations, and eventually the expression for the line element is very similar as we already derived, where this time the time coordinate is known as the cosmic time. And the cosmological principle is already there, that the universe as a whole is homogeneous and isotropic. And as he derived, he also presented the three types of curvatures: the zero curvature, the positive curvature, and the negative curvature. As I have been always giving you some examples, a flat sheet of paper is zero curvature. Surface of a sphere is an example of negative curvature, where the normals drawn are pointed in a way that they diverge, the normals diverge. Whereas in the case of negative curvature, the normals converge. And the example could be surface of potato chips or horse saddle. So one can consider this, the saddle placed at the back of the horse, it also has negative curvature. So this can be imagined from a simple experiment that is called paper experiment. When you place the paper on a flat sheet, then the paper entirely covers the sheet. If you place it on the positive curvature or negative, it determines the nature of the curvature. And then when he substituted in mathematics, for example, for negative curvature, the expression is written in a very opposite manner. We always write this s square with the positive sign, x4 with the positive, and x3 with the negative. But this time we are representing the negative curvature. That's why all the signs are inverted. And once again, these are our four coordinates for the space. This is our space element. This is called d sigma. This is area element, and 1 plus r square. If you solve this for negative curvature, 1 minus r square for positive curvature, and you replace it plus 1 and minus 1 by k. So if k is 0, it is zero curvature. If k is minus 1, then it is positive curvature. or k is +1, it is negative curvature. So in a single equation, we have all the possibilities for the surface element. And then you incorporate this with the time. So this is the surface and this is the time, and then it becomes the line element. So this mathematical form of line element, after the Weyl postulates, was derived by Robertson and Walker. That's why known as Robertson-Walker line element, where S is known as the expansion factor. Remember, in the Einstein solutions, the S is known as the radius of the universe. And here, S is the expansion rate. Expansion rate. It is function of time. It is function of time. So this is Robertson-Walker line element. So this was my actually objective, that you should at least know, at least you should know, for the sake of general knowledge, that in what direction and what are various possibilities that people have been designing to present the structure of the space-time. So if you like, you can move on. You can study the redshift. You can study the Hubble's law, apparent magnitude. This is about the intensity. Hubble's law, angular size, source counts, and others. And then in fourth chapter, we have Einstein field equations and Friedman models, and so on. So I don't know how far one can go, but right now it's like this. So this is our book that we followed. We go to chapter 1, where we have structure of our galaxy, starting from astronomy and cosmology, structure of our galaxy, the size, where I mentioned various units of the sizes, shape of our galaxy. This is what we studied, mass also. And then we studied the types of the galaxies. These are the schemes, how to represent various shapes of the galaxies in case the galaxies are spirals, ellipticals, and also Keplerian orbit. This is about the speed of a star at a distance r from the center, and m is the mass up to that point. Irregular galaxies, that are Seyfert galaxies, N galaxies, radio sources. Here we have radio sources. It's a one possible model to represent the existence and origin of radio sources, quasars, quasi-stellar objects, redshifts, some rich clusters and their distances. So you have to memorize the numbers in terms of megaparsec, and the Hubble constant is taken 50 kilometer per second per megaparsec. Structure on the largest scale, superclusters, densities, voids, great attractor and great wall, and then coordinates. In galactic coordinates and celestial coordinates, ecliptic, celestial meridian, celestial equator, galactic meridian, galactic equator. Here is a catalog, list of catalogs where the galaxies and nebulae are listed, about expansion, speed, distance, Hubble constant, speed of light, redshift. This is about the values of Hubble constant and the latest values, radiation background, intensities of the backgrounds, so at least we should know the order of magnitude where the energy density lies for various backgrounds of various radiations. Here we have the size and mass of sun, galaxy, superclusters, and universe, and so on. Space-time and gravitation. This is to revise the space-time, Euclidean space, non-Euclidean space, metric and signature, vectors and scalars, Einstein summation convention, line element, scalars invariance, contravariant vectors, covariant vectors. This is transformation law. Then for tensors of second rank, contravariant tensor, second rank covariant tensor. But here it is important to mention that this you have to correct. So the symbol for the covariant tensor should be the lower indices. So you should correct this. And here is a mixed tensor of second rank. Then you have metric tensor for metric covariant tensor, Kronecker delta, symmetries, symmetric and antisymmetric properties. Contraction is helpful to reduce the rank of the tensors. It's a scalar one. This is called raising and lowering. That means by such an operation, one can change the nature of the tensor quantity from covariant to contravariant and vice versa. Here is the quotient law. Then we have covariant differentiation, covariant derivative. Why do we need this derivative? And we perform a procedure called parallel transport. We introduce the Christoffel symbols here. Here is the covariant derivative of a covariant vector. You see the symbol is semicolon here, where the comma is representing the normal derivative. Then we can also represent the covariant derivative of a contravariant vector with the difference of negative and positive sign. And if it is second rank, then you need this quantity twice. Riemann geometry, talked about its symmetries, and we defined the Christoffel symbols in the form of derivatives of metric, curvature of space-time, this is how to represent in a fourth rank tensor. This is called Riemann-Christoffel tensor or simply Riemann tensor. And then scalar tensor, that is second order tensor, is Ricci tensor. And then further contraction gives you scalar tensor, and then Einstein tensor, geodesics. Shortest distance and straight lines in the curvatures and mathematical conditions, the two mathematical forms like this for time-like geodesics, space-like geodesics, and null geodesics. The principle of equivalence, weak principle, strong principle, this is the mathematical form. Then we talked about the experimental tests of general relativity from Schwarzschild solutions. Here is the Schwarzschild line element. And then we talked about gravitational redshift, perihelion precession of Mercury, bending of light by this amount, radar echo delay, equivalence of inertial and gravitational mass, precession of gyroscope, gravitational waves, and the black holes. So this was a part of the general relativity that we discussed in this limited time. So you see that this is not all about general relativity, but I would say a part of it. Now you tell me if you want to ask anything. Anybody from both of the classes, if you want to ask anything. जी बोलिए, कोई स्टूडेंट कुछ पूछना चाहता है? कोई भी कुछ नहीं पूछना चाहता, सब लोग खामोश बैठे हैं. Anyone? Say yes or no. Say something.
No, sir.
No. एक नो आई अभी तक.
सर फिलहाल नहीं है सर.
सर ये जो कॉन्ट्रैक्शन का टॉपिक है उसमें जो स्केलर्स की इक्वेशन है सर, उसमें रैंक किस तरह रिड्यूस हुआ है, आप ये एक्सप्लेन कर दें.
रैंक किस तरह रिड्यूस हुआ है? रैंक जब आपने रैंक को रिड्यूस करना है ना, आपने करना ये है, बेसिकली रैंक डिफाइन कर रहा है उस क्वांटिटी में नंबर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट कंपोनेंट्स को. इस बात का ख्याल रखें. जैसे वेक्टर में आप 3 डायमेंशनल स्पेस में 3 कंपोनेंट स्टडी करते थे, ax, ay, az, तो ये इंडिपेंडेंट कंपोनेंट्स थे. ये इंडिपेंडेंट कंपोनेंट्स थे, तो आपने कहा ये इसके कंपोनेंट्स होंगे. लेकिन आप अगर इसकी इंडिपेंडेंस को खत्म कर दो, इसकी इंडिपेंडेंस को खत्म कर दो तो उसमें डिपेंडेंस क्रिएट हो जाएगी। तो जैसे डिपेंडेंस क्रिएट होगी तो नंबर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट कंपोनेंट्स रिड्यूस हो जाएंगे। अब वो डिपेंडेंस कैसे क्रिएट होगी? ऐसे क्रिएट होगी कि आप किसी इंडेक्स को किसी दूसरे इंडेक्स के साथ इक्वेट कर दो। यानी इससे पहले i और k टू डिफरेंट इंडेक्स थे, यानी i की वैल्यू 1 हो सकती है और k की वैल्यू कुछ भी हो सकती है, फॉर एग्जांपल 3 हो सकती है। ये है इंडिपेंडेंस। इसका मतलब है एक ऐसी टर्म जिसमें a1 और b3 हो, तो ये है इंडिपेंडेंस। ठीक है, लेकिन जब आपने इक्वालिटी बना दी, इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि जब k की कोई भी वैल्यू होगी तो i की भी वही वैल्यू होनी चाहिए। ठीक है, तो इसको कहते हैं डिपेंडेंस। अब i इज डिपेंडिंग ऑन k, ठीक है ना। तो ये डिपेंडेंस जब क्रिएट होगी तो कोई भी इस तरह की टर्म उसमें नहीं होगी, तो उसमें जो टर्म्स होंगी वो इस तरह की होंगी। अब ये है डिपेंडेंस, यानी b का फर्स्ट कंपोनेंट हो तो a का फर्स्ट कंपोनेंट होगा, तो ये है डिपेंडेंस। सो इससे जो नंबर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट कंपोनेंट्स हैं वो कम हो जाते हैं। तो स्केलर में अगर आप स्केलर प्रोडक्ट में देखें तो ये सिंपल एग्जांपल है इस चीज की कि a1 b1 प्लस a2 b2 प्लस a3 b3, तो ये डिपेंडेंस है। ये हर कंपोनेंट b के कंपोनेंट पे डिपेंड कर रहा है, ये डिपेंडेंस है। इसलिए आपने कहा कि इसका रैंक जो है वो 0 हो चुका है और इसके कंपोनेंट्स जो हैं वो सिर्फ एक कंपोनेंट है, बाकी इसकी इंडिपेंडेंस सारी खत्म हो चुकी है। ठीक है, तो आप सिंपली कॉन्ट्रैक्शन को नंबर ऑफ इंडिसेस को जब इक्वेट कर देते हो तो आप कहते हो कि ये मैंने डिपेंडेंस क्रिएट कर दी है। तो जितनी दफा आप इंडिसेस को इक्वेट करोगे वो फर्दर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता चला जाएगा, वो डिपेंडेंस आती जाएगी। ठीक है,
यस सर।
जी कुछ और पूछना चाहते हैं? एनीवन? बोलिए। नहीं? अच्छा, लास्ट मिनट है हमारे पास, तो आप जरा मीटिंग दोबारा ज्वाइन करो, फिर मैं आपको वाइवा के बारे में ब्रीफ कर देता हूँ। To the schedule for your classes, I guess it is Wednesday and Thursday. We will start at 10 and every student would follow the sequence of the roll numbers. In your group, I am right now sending you a list that you can see right now. You will follow this list to make a WhatsApp audio call. इस बात का ख्याल रखें कि आप ऑडियो कॉल करेंगे और अगर मुझे ज़रूरत होगी, क्योंकि इन मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस ज़रूरत होती है, you will be asked to turn on the video. but I would not need the front camera for sure, but the rear camera, जिसको आप बैक कैमरा कहते हैं, आप उससे वीडियो ऑन करेंगे. You will point it on the page, and as you will be directed, you will solve an equation, or you would draw a diagram for explanation, and so on. Whatever it is, it should be followed like so. Here you have the lists in your groups already. तो सब लोग गौर से सुन लें. आपको रोल नंबर वाइज, सीक्वेंस वाइज मैं यहाँ पे या तो सिंपली मैं नेक्स्ट लिख दूंगा, या मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि मैं रोल नंबर वाइज लिखूं. तो जैसे ही मैं वो रोल नंबर यहाँ पे ग्रुप में पेस्ट करता हूँ, वो स्टूडेंट मुझे व्हाट्सएप कॉल करेगा. वो ऑडियो कॉल होनी चाहिए, और जब मैं आपसे कहूँ तो आप उसके रियर कैमरा वीडियो ऑन करें, और फिर आप पेज पे जो भी रिक्वायर्ड ड्राफ्ट होगा वो आप करोगे. इट कुड बी प्रॉब्लम टू सॉल्व, it could be an equation to derive, or a diagram or a plot to explain and draw. Now tell me if you want to ask anything. There would be 5 questions, each question of 5 marks. In total, we have 25 marks for the Viva. So tell me if you want to ask anything about Viva especially.
सर चैप्टर 14 तक होगा वाइवा या कितने तक पढ़ा है?
जितना कोर्स हमने पढ़ा है इन टोटल सब में से वाइवा होगा, और उस सब में से आपका ऑनलाइन एग्जाम होगा, जितना कोर्स भी हमने पढ़ा है. कोई कुछ पूछना चाहता है?
सर कॉस्मोलॉजी का चैप्टर 3 भी इंक्लूडेड होगा?
चैप्टर 3 नहीं, फर्स्ट और सेकंड चैप्टर्स. चैप्टर 3 नहीं.
ओके सर.
ओके सर.
और कुछ पूछना चाहते हो आप?
सर एक रिक्वेस्ट करनी थी.
जी जी.
सर अगर आप रोल नंबर साथ मेंशन कर दें तो वो सही पता चल जाता है, और नेक्स्ट से फिर काउंट करना पड़ता है कि कौन से रोल नंबर की बारी है.
ठीक है, मैं रोल नंबर वाइज कॉल कर लूंगा.
थैंक यू सर.
मैं रोल नंबर सिर्फ आपका ग्रुप में जो है वो पेस्ट करूंगा, और कॉल आप करोगे. ठीक है?
ओके सर.
और कुछ?
एक्सक्यूज मी सर.
जी
सर 2 स्टूडेंट्स ने मॉर्निंग में शिफ्ट करवाया हुआ है, तो उनका रोल नंबर नहीं है लिस्ट में. आप उनका वाइवा मॉर्निंग के साथ नहीं लेंगे?
आप दोनों लिस्ट को चेक कर लें, जहां उनका रोल नंबर होगा वहीं वाइवा होगा. आपका रोल नंबर इवनिंग की क्लास के साथ है तो वाइवा भी वहीं पे ही होगा. मैंने उस लिस्ट को फॉलो करना है. आप दोनों लिस्ट चेक कर लें. ओके?
ओके सर.
और कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं आप?
सर सिलेबस वाइवे के लिए बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है सर, या ठीक है?
क्या चीज?
सिलेबस सर वाइवे के लिए ज्यादा नहीं है सर.
बेटा वाइवा फाइनल एग्जाम का वाइवा है, तो वो तो टोटल कोर्स होता है, उसी में से होता है ना.
अच्छा,
फाइनल एग्जाम तो सारे कोर्स में से होता है ना.
ठीक है सर।
जी चलें ठीक है। If there are no more questions, I'll leave you like this, and good luck for the final exams. Allah Hafiz.